Welcome back to WKYT News. Over the next few weeks, local pumpkin patches will be opening up for business.
New at 6, First Alert meteorologist Ben Beddoes checked out one farm to see how pumpkins are turning out this year.
Plant pumpkins out it's starting in June, and the temperatures were really hot through June and first part of July.
The Bywater Farm and Greenhouse in Georgetown will be opening up in a few weeks to pick pumpkins. Stephen Pfister, one of the owners of the farm, says they were worried about not having much of a crop.
We were beginning to wonder if it's going to affect the pumpkin crops, but then the rains came and the temperatures cooled in the mid-July, and it helped us out because then the pumpkins were able to pollinate once the temperatures get below 90 degrees.
Pfister says rain and cooler temperatures are important to initiate the growth and development of the pumpkins. And now, dry weather is exactly what the pumpkins need.
If these mature pumpkins sit on the really soggy ground, it doesn't do good as far as diseases or rotting goes. So right now, from this point forward, we're looking for a little less rain and a little more dry.
While temperatures are supposed to get warmer into next week, that critical time frame for the pumpkins has passed.
Pollination now is not as much as it was back a month ago. So we're not pollinating pumpkins very much from this point on, so that hot temperatures won't really affect us if we have enough water supply to grow these pumpkins that we already have here.
From Georgetown, I'm Ben Beddoes, WKYT.
Bywater Farm and Greenhouse opens up September 7th, and they run through the end of October.